Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. And this is Dave Emmons and the Dave Emmons Show. And we talk about everything from UFOs, scientific stuff. We have a little bit of both today because we have one of my favorites, and I know it's been one of your favorites too because of the views. We got Dr. Lani today again. He's going to tell us a little bit about something else. He has a wide range of things that he's been involved in, not just engineering or space engineering, but he's been involved in a lot of different. I guess you can call it the supernatural. That's fine, but that's what's going on. Dr. Lani, he's an aerospace engineer and the computational scientist, PhD. He's the team manager. He's at a high top university. I call it a high top university in Belgium. And he's been working for 20 plus years in developing advanced computational models. He works in hypersonic reentry flows around space vehicles. So he is a rocket scientist. He's developing these magnetic shield technologies, solar plasma. In 1983, after a life-changing, very close encounter with a UFO, he got into the groove, or he got bit, or he got into what I would call, like I did when I was younger, when I first saw my first UFO. You get obsessed with it. The idea, what are they, who are they, and all this other stuff. He's that followed up with other sightings throughout his life. He's discussed that on the show before. He's been involved in hypnosis, sound healing sessions, and meditation and transformational experiences. Dr. Lani discovered to be able to open communication channels with cosmic beings and councils of light called the Galactic Federation. And he calls Stargate Meditations, and which is a great thing. And I missed the session last week. In the past, Dr. Lani, we've talked about some of the UFOs you've seen, and also past lives regressions. I got a question about the Akashic records. Maybe you can explain this. I know we talked about it here a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we had the first segment. That Akashic records, where did that come from? Who originated that?
What I know is that this concept is known since ancient times, and I think originally it comes from Hinduism. I mean, Hindu, they believe in reincarnation, and also Akasha is a term from probably Sanskrit or anyway some
Okay.
Indian culture. But the name Akashic Records, I believe, comes from Case, this guy, this psychic of the early
Oh,
1900s.
okay. Edgar Casey. Yeah.
Edgar
Yeah.
Casey, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess what we want to do is you want to start something new, some new areas here, and which you have a lot of the power of synchronicities. We've all had these synchronicities and these things that fall in line and numbers fall in line and songs are played at a certain time. Could you explain to us what the power of synchronicities is?
Yeah, first of all, what is a synchronicity is some sort of, let's say, sign that the universe, whatever the universe means for you, uh, basically gives you in order to guide you, sometimes to stop you from going in a certain direction. Sometimes is a warning, sometimes is an encouragement, sometimes is really like an indication of where you should go. And sometimes it's just a sign of love to tell you that there is somebody around you that loves you, and you're never alone. And typically when you get into a spiritual awakening, you start experiencing. Okay.
We had a glitch, a Zoom glitch. Okay, you were talking. You know where you left off at? That was a abrupt shut off there. We have those on this Zoom. I don't know why, but I thought I had it fixed. I was talking to Dr. Lani earlier, so we'll try to get around these little ones. It's the big ones that bother me. So, what
Yeah.
you were saying about the synchronicities being a sign from a loved one or a spirit or something?
Yeah, and so basically, the simplest form of synchronicity is to see like double digits, for instance, or triple digits, or this kind of thing. But then you can have other kind of synchronicities, which is like which basically make you think that that there is really an intelligence that is monitoring you and give you a sign one day, and then maybe 2 days later you get something which is connected to the same thing that that you were thinking 2 days before, or maybe, and you meet a person, and this person, I don't know, you dreamt it the day before, or something like that. So anyway, I want to basically not be too generic, because you can have really 1,000 different kind of synchronicities. And actually, I already discussed some examples. For instance, sometime when I was contacting some cosmic being and seeing it for the first time, I would then immediately get a sign connected to that. And I think I discussed it in one of your shows.
Yes, you did.
But today I would like basically to just speak about one specific story that I've been involved in April, and basically to just put in line all the synchronicities that led me to basically let's say go to Paris and do something that I was asked to do by whoever my contacts were. So basically, I will share my screen because I want to show some of the proofs, say.
Yep.
And I have a bunch of pictures and stuff, so I think it's more convenient if this time I share the screen for the whole time. All right. So the idea is the following. It all started sorry, let's go here. So it all started in 2000, I guess 19. No, sorry, 2020. So I was in contact with a friend in Italy, who is a psychic and is a healer with like 30 years of experience, and he knows a lot about the world of spirits. Doesn't know much about UFOs and stuff like that because it's not his thing, but he knows a lot about demons or spirits or this kind of stuff. And he knows a lot about history and healing techniques. Anyway, and also he also knows about Akashic records, and somehow he can also get information about past lives. So every time I was getting information in different ways, like via meditation or using a dowsing pendulum or stuff like that, about some of my past lives. Basically, I was contacting him to give me a backup or not. So I would say, okay, I'm getting this information, is it true? And then he was checking with his own methods, and he said, yes, it's true. Actually, he always said that it was true. I was never wrong, but I think I'm well connected, or we were. But anyway, so that day, I told him, okay, I get that I was this person. And then he said, yes, it's true, but I also see that that actually in a past life you were Jacques de Molay. And at the time I was like, okay, I don't know who is Jacques de Molay. He said, well, Jacques de Molay was the last Grand Master of the Templars. I said, okay, I studied history many years ago, but I actually even didn't remember the name of this individual. And I said, oh, okay, very interesting. I never really investigated too much this connection, to the point that I almost even didn't go back to history books or even to Wikipedia to learn a bit the story of this guy, which is a bit weird. But this time, I wasn't really too much into that. But around March of this year, I mean, suddenly I was like, okay, I would like to know if actually if that information that I got from Marco, that's the name of my friend, was actually true. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe universe, give me some sign. That's the kind of thing that I like. If I get some synchronicity or something that can somehow confirm, it's difficult to confirm something like that. And also reincarnation works in ways which are a bit complicated, in the sense that you can have memories of being a certain individual, but it could be that there were different souls on the same individual, or different souls can share the memory of that specific incarnation. For instance, if you're part of the same oversoul group. So anyway, I know, I mean, I was told to be connected. So let's say I assume that I was him in some form. And so what happened is a few days later, and basically in the list of suggestions of my YouTube, I got a link to a video, which was, oh sorry, I apologize. So I got a link to a video, which I think it's here, which was on an Italian channel that I follow sometimes, from a guy called Red Ronnie. So this guy is a music expert. He used to host programs on TV and stuff, and now he has his own channel. He's a very aware, awakened guy. He also is very interested in UFOs and any aspect of spirituality. And that day he was interviewing by phone a guy called Alberto Ferrarini, who is a numerologist and also expert about some, let's say, esoteric stuff. And so that day, the topic of the day was Jacques de Molay. So I said, okay, I click the video and I start finally getting some information about this Jacques de Molay. And what Alberto told was basically that, okay, Jacques de Molay was actually imprisoned in 1307 together with a lot of Templars. And then he was executed in on the 18th March 1314, and he was executed basically by being burned on the stake in front of the Notre Dame of Paris, the Notre Dame Cathedral of Paris. Mm-hmm. And I never heard anything about this, honestly, so that was the first time I was hearing it. And the interesting thing is that this Alberto Ferrarini was saying, well, before dying, Jacques de Molay launched four curses, in which basically the first two were related to the death of two people involved in his imprisonment and sentenced to death. One was somebody from, I don't know, politician or something, noble man. Another one was a pope. And actually his two curses became true within 1 year. Then the third curse was related to to basically the end of the dynasty, the French royal dynasty, within a certain period. And actually this also became true in 1789 when there was the French Revolution, and actually the king was decapitated together with Maria Antoinette. And then there was a fourth curse, which was launched against the church. The Roman Catholic Church, who was the main responsible for the death of Jacques de Molay. So actually, the Templars were like the actual champions of Christianity at the time. They were also into esoteric practices, and so they knew a lot of stuff, not just about the, I don't know, the holy text or the Christianity and everything, but also about psychic stuff. Anyway, so what happened is the curse was basically saying that within 400 years after his death, the Catholic Church would have collapsed. And now the interesting thing to notice is that basically in 2013, in March 2013, the Pope Benedict XVI actually decided to leave the place, to resign basically, and he was substituted by Pope Francis. The interesting thing is actually the Pope Benedict died like 3 days ago, right? You must have heard.
And he was actually first Pope that resigned in what, 600 years, something like that?
Yes, absolutely. And so that, according to Alberto Ferrarini, that was the sign of the collapse, of the start of the collapse of the Catholic Church, which actually happened 399 years after the curse from Jacques de Molay, which is interesting, isn't it? So it happened on the 400th year after his death. And so, and another thing that he was saying, which is what actually attracted the most my attention, is that some representative of the Catholic Church, he said the Pope or somebody for him, should go in front of the Notre Dame of Paris, so the place where Jacques de Molay was executed together with another Templar, and apologized to his memory and recognized that he was, the champions of Christianity, and there was some wrongdoing in sentencing him to death. And this was kind of interesting, because then he said the date in which this should happen is the 15th of April of this year, so 2022. And he was connecting this date with the date in which the Notre Dame Cathedral took fire. So this happened in the 15th April 2019. So exactly 3 years after the fire in Notre Dame, this Alberto was saying somebody should go to the same place, to Notre Dame, and apologize to the memory of, or restore the memory of Jacques de Molay. So I stopped watching the video, and I was full of, like, I don't know, I felt some kind of involvement, of course, also because I was told that I was this guy, right? And then what I did is I just switch on my laptop, and I go on my Facebook, and the first message that I check on Facebook is actually comment on some pictures that I had uploaded about the butterfly. And this person that I didn't know, it was the first time that she was interacting with me, she told me, that is so interesting. I had the same thing happen to me on 18th March. So 18th March was the date in which Jacques de Molay died, right?
Really?
So I had just, it's kind of weird, no? The first date that you hear is exactly the same date in which he died. And then I said, wow, this sounds really interesting. And then
Dr. Lani, where did they get to Friday the 13th? Am I off on the I guess that was kind of like a bad luck day, and that wasn't a bad luck day for the Templars. And also, didn't the King of France owe Jacques de Molay a lot of money, and that's probably why he wanted him killed also?
Very possible, because the Templars were handling a lot of money. They were like working almost like a bank.
Right.
They were storing a lot of gold and everything. So there were a lot of interest for somebody at a certain moment to just wipe them away and
even the Catholic Church was involved in some of that, I think.
Yeah, and then there is this story that the Templars were the holders of the Holy Grail. Even if we don't really know what it is, there are so many theories about what the Holy Grail is, so I wouldn't enter into that for the moment. But okay, so I don't know about the 13th of April. Sorry, for the Friday 13th. I actually read recently about it, but I don't remember. I at this moment I don't remember. So what happened is, after I noticed this 18th of March in the message, I got a huge pain in both my kidneys, and which is, I don't suffer from kidney problems, but the only other time that I could remember in which I had such a pain was when I experienced some sort of psychic attack from some entities. So I said, okay, there is something going on. So I went to the bed, I lie on the bed, and I close my eyes, and then with my mind's eye, I scan my field. And the first thing that I see some sort of chimera entity. So it was an entity which basically had different bodies. It was almost like a dark army, but all connected to the same entity. And then I understood that there was some sort of psychic attack going on. And then I call in angels to basically protect my field. And in that moment, I also see other beings. I saw some beings that look basically like this.
Oh yeah, that's a neat picture. I really like
that.
Yeah,
this picture comes from Gaia actually, but so basically they were looking like that, like white beings wearing this sort of robe and with the red cross of the Templars. So the first time that I heard about these beings was watching actually a program on Gaia. It was an interview in a program called in a series called Cosmic Disclosure, an interview from Emery Smith to a guy called Tim tactical advisor. So this is a German guy who claims, but I believe him, I guess, claim basically to work for the government, for a program in the German government, in which basically they discuss how to handle the extraterrestrial phenomenon. And so he has a lot of insider information. And he had also contacts. And he said that when he got into the program, one of the first things that he came through, I mean, while researching documents, was this fact that the Templars were in contact with some beings. They were appearing to them as wearing a robe with a white robe with a red cross. So actually that seems that was what gave the inspiration to dress up in that way, and not the other way around.
Yeah, and that's a Templar's cross. How come there's two different crosses? One looks like a square cross, and this one here is elongated. Is there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the original one is not elongated.
Right.
And this is just a depiction, you know, an artist, depiction. So I don't know.
Okay, you're right on the 15th, I think, of March, because it says they were arrested on Friday the 13th.
They were arrested.
Yeah,
that's
they were
why.
arrested,
Yeah, that's when.
and
yes.
then I guess burned at the stake 2 days later.
No. They were arrested on the 13th, whatever, on Friday 13th, but in 1307. And then Jacques de Molay was kept in prison for 7 years, and then he was burnt on the stake on the 18th March 1314. Okay.
Well, I guess they tried to hold out and try to get all the information from him where all the money was at, right?
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, so I'm lying in my bed. I see this dark entity in front, and I also see these beings. They basically surrounded me, and they told me that they wanted me to engage in this thing. And I said, okay, very interesting. At this moment, I have this huge pain, so I basically ask assistants to remove this pain, and in the matter of maybe 1 or 2 minutes, my pain was completely gone. I stand up, and I decide to take a walk with a friend. And while I'm walking in the streets of Brussels with this friend, at a certain moment I'm thinking, well, it's interesting that sometimes the universe wants to give you signs. I mean, let's say sometimes when you are needing some signs, the universe gives them to you. Right. And in that specific moment in which I was thinking this, I turned my head. There was a car parked exactly where I was passing by. And in the number plate, there was Jacques. So there was JAC. So the initial of Jacques de Molay. And I said, well, this is interesting, but if you want, I need some more, let's say, I would say, compelling sign if you want me to do something, to book a trip to Paris and do something that I don't even know what you want me to do. And so I said, okay, I thought, if you want me to go, give me a sign specifically related to Paris and to Notre Dame. So I continue walking, and then I have the idea, okay, let's go to this specific park, which is close to Abbey. And normally we enter from one entrance, but this time we enter from another side. And well, we were about to enter the park, and then we noticed this poster. And basically it tells Notre Dame de Paris, and it even mentioned April. So I had asked for something, and suddenly I have this poster that gives me again another information connected to what I was asking. I mean, don't you find it interesting?
Yes, if you see so many signs, you got to keep going. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And then actually we take a walk in this park, and then when we leave the park, we walk around some lakes, and then when we are leaving the lakes, I see another poster which actually has the date of the 15th of April. So in the matter of a short walk, I first get a number plate with Jacques in it. I get a poster with Notre Dame of Paris in April, and here I also get 15th of April. So sounds interesting. What's the chance that you get all these things line up in a simple 15-minute walk,
Right.
random, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had synchronicities sort of like that. Not that many. I'd get 3 of them, but even that makes my hair stand up on the back of my neck, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
it does.
yeah, the problem is I had many more synchronicities. So this was just the beginning.
Okay.
And so what happened is, in the let's say, in the meantime, I was considering to, let's say, to book. I actually decided to book the trip to Paris for like this was I think this happened on the 3rd of April. So like in 11 days, I was going to Paris. And in the meantime, I also had scheduled basically a Akashic record reading for a friend. So I was doing the session to my friend, and about 10 minutes before giving the session, which was more or less at this time, I get a huge pain. This time it was not in my kidneys. It was like an internal cramp in, the belly area, but it
Right.
was so painful. I could almost not breathe for the pain. So again, I do the same thing. I go lying in the bed, and then again, I see the same entity that I seen the previous time that was again attacking my field. And I call angels and stuff, so the pain disappears before I start the session. So in a few minutes, again, I get rid completely of the pain. And when doing the session to this friend and actually scanning her past lives, or the way, let's say, I see one past life in which we were both involved, and actually I was this Jacques de Molay. I was in prison, suffering physically, let's say, after some torture, and I was actually tormented by some sort of entity, some sort of demon, if you want, while also having contact with these Templar beings that I showed you, in particular with one which was actually my friend in that life. So probably I got attacked because they didn't want me to give the session to her to get this extra information, but I don't know. So a similar pattern, a similar event happened few days later. So the night before going to Paris, I had scheduled a meditation with a friend and with another ex-colleague. She's also a bit like Sarah. She can channel light languages. She
Mhm.
basically also deliver messages in English and stuff from extraterrestrials. And so basically, again, 10 minutes before the meditation with her, I get the same exact pain, and I have again to go and lie down, and I manage to get rid of the pain. And so we start the meditation, and then one of the let's say, or the messages that come through my friend is that yeah, we needed to take precautions to be protected when we go to Paris and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Another thing that I forgot, and this is very important because it's another incredible synchronicity, is that between the moment in which I realized that, there was this possibility of going to Paris, and the moment in which I actually decided to go, um, I did two meditations. One was a private meditation, and I was asking, okay, what do you want me to do? And so the idea is you go in front of the Notre Dame and you bring a crystal. And then I was asking, okay, which crystal do you want me to bring? And they were showing me one small crystal that I have, which is a pyrite, and and they were saying we want you to go and meditate with this, and you will get more instructions once you are in front of the cathedral. And then I did a group meditation, and during the meditation I asked the same thing, and I got the same answer. So at that point I said, okay, what's so special about this crystal? And the first thought that I had is that, okay, this crystal is one of the first crystal that I ever got, and it was given to me by a friend with whom I'm not in contact anymore. And I was like, so it's one of the crystal that has been more in my energy field. So probably has, attract. How can I say? It's like crystals work a bit like batteries. They can charge
Right.
with the energy of the environment. So I said, okay, that's interesting, but let me go and investigate when did I actually get this crystal. And here things got incredible because I start browsing my conversation, my chat on WhatsApp with this friend, and I identify the exact night in which we met, and she gave me the crystal. And guess what? It was the 14th of April 2019, so it was the night before the fire in Notre Dame.
Oh,
So and think about it. Pyros in Greek is fire. So is the stone which is most connected to fire. So at that point I was like, wow, what is this? I mean, this cannot be a coincidence. You understand?
mhm.
And so at the end, on the 14th of April, I take the car, I drive with a friend, and we go to Paris. Before going to the Notre Dame, the first thing that we do is we go to the Bataclan. Do you remember the Bataclan? This is the theater in which I think in 2018 there was this massacre done by terrorists.
Oh
They
yeah,
started
yes.
shooting, like there were like more than 90 people, I guess, dead. So I felt, let's say, the need to go in front of that and do some sort of prayer and try to help eventually some of the souls to cross over if there were still some hanging around. So what happened is that when you have traumatic events of this kind, the soul of the people that are involved, that die in the event, but even if they don't die, they can get traumatized, and this trauma is basically stuck in your soul. So it's something that affects the aura or stuff like that. So what they call it fragmentation. So you have a fragmentation of your soul. And for instance, shamans are experts. Let's say one of the expertise of shamans is to retrieve lost fragments of souls of people and reintegrate them. So for some reason, I know I can do this kind of practice. So basically, I did some sort of prayer, let's say meditation, to reintegrate fragments of traumatized souls for everybody involved, and I help some of the souls to cross over because they were stuck there. When you die in when you die in traumatic circumstances, sometimes your soul cannot cross over, stays there around. You have all these ghosts and stuff.
Right.
These are spirits
Just like
that are unable to cross over.
yeah, like the old Civil War battlefields here in Virginia and around there, they see ghosts, these soldier ghosts. They've died in trauma and really some bad situations. Anytime you die in war, that's a traumatic deal unless you're hit straight in the head or the heart and then you're out. But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about those aliens because I heard I'll do real quick and then I won't get you back on this story here. But those aliens, I heard that the Knights Templar were involved with the aliens somewhat. Did they want the Ark of the Covenant? Is that what they wanted, the aliens?
I have no idea. I cannot answer
I'm
that
getting way
question.
out there now, Dr. Lonnie, but I just thought I'd ask, But that's what they look like, what you showed a while ago. That's
At
wow,
least, yeah, at least this is, let's say, this is the information that these German tactical advisors say, and these are the beings, the way they appear to me.
wow.
Uh,
Yeah, that's more than a synchronicity. You're getting some really tangible facts thrown at you. Yeah. Now you're
yeah,
talking.
I mean,
Was that a nightclub or was that a newspaper place that was terrorized and killed 90 people? You said.
it was no, yeah, you remember there was something also before, but in this case it's a theater. It was a theater. There was a concert by an American band. I
Oh,
don't remember the name anymore of the band, but Def something. There was Def in the name
yeah.
of the.
Def Leppard.
No. I don't remember the name of the band. Yeah. So anyway, I did this prayer, and then we head towards Notre Dame. We do a first meditation with the crystal, and then we decide to come back the day after. On the way to the cathedral, we only stop once. I decide to take an ice cream. I enter, take the ice cream, and then when I'm out of the shop, my friend tells me, "Look at the wall." So basically, there was a wall on the side, and there was this spray paint, and it was kind of interesting because that was the only place in which we stopped. and I didn't see it. I mean, I just saw the ice cream place. I entered, took the ice cream, and she noticed that. And I want to make you notice that there is fire.
Right.
the the alien is white, and you also have a red. So it's like you have the colors of the Templars and you have the fire, which is an important element in my story, right?
Yes. Yeah. They look just like the heads of the ones that you showed a while ago.
Yeah, and on top of that, here there is a writing, and I can show it a bit better in this Zoom version. Just a second. So at the beginning, we look at it. I took a picture, and then we look at it. To us, it looked like crew. You see this E.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
In reality, it's a crow, but at first sight, it could be also E, right? It's really
Right.
like
Yeah.
so. And then we found it interesting because we said, we're actually working for angels, and we find angel crew here. And then we laugh at it, okay? And then we walk a little more, and once we arrive in front of the cathedral, this is what we see. We see what looks like an angel in
Mhm.
the sky entering in the cathedral from our perspective, right?
Right.
And then if you take a picture which is a bit more, expanded, you really see something that looks like an angel. And this was something interesting. Again, what's the chance that you get something? I mean, a situation like that, and you look in the sky, you have this in the sky.
Yeah. They call it sometimes when you see something or you think you see pareidolia. I think that's what it's called, something like that. But that looks like an angel, really. Uh, you
And
know,
this is the cathedral, so like
yeah,
it's incredible.
you know that angels really didn't have wings. I just finished the book on angels, and they have wings because that's what you expect from them. They can read your mind and say, well, to demonstrate that we are angels, we show our wings to humans,
Mhm.
and that, but they don't have them. They can shape shift into anything they want, even into
That's the
a
thing,
being. Yeah,
indeed.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, there are extraterrestrial races that are winged. They have wing. Also, there are dragons. Dragons used to live on
right.
planet
Like,
Earth. So anyway, so basically, we did this meditation, and I thought, okay, I had all these crazy synchronicities. Now what? So we were leaving Paris, and then my friend was looking again at this picture with the with the with the with the crow, and she said, no, actually, look, it's not crew, is crow. And I'm telling you, I mean, on the highway, and the exact moment she said crow, there is a crow that crosses my windshield from one side of the highway to the other.
hmm,
So again, another synchronicity.
right.
And, and then during the evening, I'm talking with a friend, and I send a audio message, and I share the story, and then he said, that's interesting because yesterday I read an article on Guardian. So on the 14th of April, which is the day in which we did the first meditation in Notre Dame, on the Guardian, so one of the major newspaper in UK, was mentioning this story that the ancient tombs and statues had been unearthed beneath the Notre Dame Cathedral, and in one of these tombs, in one coffin, there was the head of something that looked like a Jesus. And that's interesting, know that this comes out in the same day in which we did something there. And then the day after, I'm reading my Italian newspaper. So on the 15th, I'm reading the Italian newspaper, and I find a reference to the beginning of the trial at the Bataclan. So, which is the only other place in which we went in Paris. So even in the mainstream news, there was something related to these two events, Notre Dame and Bataclan, in the 2 days in which we were there, and we did something.
Hmm,
So my personal opinion is that in some way, when you change the balance of energy, uh, you can have even some effect on the physical reality, depending on how much your impact is. This can change your reality in some way. So
Yeah, I never heard of the okay, when a soul goes through a chaotic and a traumatic incident and they die like they did in that nightclub or theater, I'm sorry, that you can actually put the pieces back together, a shaman, and you said you're working and practicing on that to have people piece themselves back together to be whole.
Yes, I must admit I don't have a full understanding of the process. I just know that with intention I can do it, but I know that some shaman can really even see the location of your soul because they can work in the underworld and they can see somehow they can identify different locations in the underworld. That's not really my specialty. I'm not trained like a shaman, but well, I know I can do stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
you got to smoke some of that peyote stuff, that peyote weed or whatever, to get that high. They usually that's what they normally do.
mhm.
They get high, and these that's just the real, I guess, the head priests or the the priests of the tribe. They're the ones that are shamans, and they practice that, and they smoke this peyote. And there's also another. I think they nowadays they might smoke a little bit of marijuana to get that high to kind of go and release themselves to the other world. Uh, now that cathedral, is that the same place where they did the Hunchback of Notre Dame? Is that the same location?
Yeah, Notre Dame, yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's unique. That's a very, and you talked about they dug up a head that looked like Jesus underneath the cathedral.
Yeah, they found some sarcophagi, and in one there was a face that looked like what you would consider a Jesus kind, like with beard and long
Right.
hair. I didn't see that. It's just mentioned in that article that I showed. It's mentioned that they found this, and they don't know what. At least at that point, I mean, when I read the article, they didn't know who was inside that sarcophagi. Who knows? Maybe in some years they figure out that actually it was some Templar or connected to the Templars. So
Yeah.
which would be ridiculous. I mean, which would be even more connected to what we did, which was like let's say healing some fragmentation of souls for Templars.
Right. They've probably done some kind of a carbon dating or DNA dating on this.
I'm I'm
Okay.
definitely, yeah, I guess they will do a lot of checks, but I didn't follow up after that article, but maybe there is some news. I mean, if one investigates, maybe they already found some information, so I
Okay.
should do it.
What happened to you after you come back from Paris? You had all these synchronicities. How did you, I guess, how did you take all that? I mean, how did you digest it and try to figure out what really was what they wanted you to know or do?
I mean, I felt I did what I had to do, and I mean, by looking at all the synchronicities, I mean, I pretty much even a non-analytical mind should surrender to the fact that there was something to it. I mean, and
No, that's
yeah,
what.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
that's
didn't
what.
change it didn't change my life, but I was like, okay, I felt that I did something that I had to do, and I was happy that I did it.
Right, and that's what you call a spiritual mission to Paris. That's it was
Yeah,
a
definitely. If
spiritual.
you go there, yeah, healing fragmentation of souls, I guess it's some sort of spiritual mission. But this shows a bit the connect. This is the kind of well, let's say this is one aspect of my connection to whoever I'm connecting to. Sometimes I get this kind of mission, and it comes out of the blue, and in a matter of few days, they want me to go to places and do something there. And this was just the case, the single case that had the most signs that I mean I couldn't, even if I tell it to somebody, it can still make sense if you look at all the signs. For other stories, maybe I got less signs. So maybe one at the beginning and one at the end. You say, okay, you do what you want. But this one was like incredible. Like the stone itself, the fact that I got the stone the night of the in which Notre Dame was. I mean, the night before Notre Dame took fire. I mean, and everything was revolving around the date. I mean, it's incredible.
How the average person can observe a synchronicity and how to go about it. I can start off by asking Dr. Lani a question. I have a TV that changes channels every morning at 7:30. this morning it changed at 6:40. It's usually when I wake up, and it
Mm-hmm.
automatically changes. The remote is about 3 feet away from me, so I'm not touching it. So the TV changes. We listen to sleepy time music, we call it, and it's 9:47 the channel, and then it goes all the way to channel 48 when it changes. But it's between, it can happen in between 6:40 and 7:30 when I become alert or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Also got these little things here. They're cat balls, and they
Mm-hmm.
light up. They light up when they're touched or something moves them. The light will come on, and it comes out with a different array of lighting. Maybe I can get one out for you. But
Oh
I
my gosh.
just thought of getting those because magnetic energy or touching or something. But there was one that went off this morning, and I told my wife, and she was already out of bed, and I woke up a little later, and one was going off on my nightstand. It went off about 5 or 6 times, and I tried to figure out, okay, what's going on there. See what it does.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Mm-hmm.
it'll blink like that if somebody touches it or gets near it, and so it went off about 5 or 6 times this morning. So something is messing with me, like a synchronicity, like the TV every morning.
I don't know. My opinion is that this is not just a synchronicity. I think you may have some entity in there that there is some energy that is activating this bulb that you show me,
Right.
and
Mhm.
and that messes up with your remote control. So I think you should do you know some medium who can sense these kind of things or
Yeah, there's a couple of them around. I guess I can probably talk to, but yeah, I'd like to dig into that further. But I've had a lot of ET,
Mhm.
things in my lifetime, so I kind of associate that maybe with ET. Uh,
Yeah, but you know what? Because ETs, I mean, this seems like almost like a poltergeist kind of phenomena, or looks like a energy that is always doing the same thing repeatedly, or very similar thing.
right.
I I don't think a cosmic being would bother about doing something like that. I think it's really like a spirit that somehow wants to catch your attention, or maybe is related to your house or attached to you when in some specific location and follow you home and is there, and that's the way he finds to attract your attention.
Yeah.
So
I blame my younger brother. He died about 4 years ago, and he was always kind of playful. Really is a big loss. Uh,
that could be a good
and
candidate,
he could
yeah.
he could be doing that, but every morning about 7:30. That's I've
For
talked.
them time, yeah, but for them time that once you are in the fourth dimension, time for you doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, so I talked to the cable people. That I've had two technicians out here, and I talked to the main office. They never heard of the TV ever doing that. Uh,
mhm.
that's a maintenance phenomena. They said they never heard of that, and I said, well, it happens almost every morning in our house.
Yeah, but I mean, what according to me indicates really this kind of phenomenon is what you describe me about the light, because there you need the source of energy. So and yeah, so it's either you, which I don't think so, because some of the poltergeist phenomena are generated by the person himself, or is an entity that wants to attract your attention. So
Okay,
I
how about other people that might have similar events of synchronicities? Uh, what they should watch for, and how many times does something have to happen before it really means something?
I think this depends on the single person, because typically when they want to communicate you when the universe can be your spirit guides, can be your guardian angels, can be your higher self or cosmic whatever it is. They want to communicate something. They communicate in a way that they think you will understand. So it's like you you have to get used to pay more attention to things that happen. If you notice something that for you is a coincidence, that's a good indication. When you think coincidence, start to replace that word with synchronicity and look for maybe some more sign which is connected to what you believe was a coincidence. Actually, so I do believe, and I agree with many who say that there is no coincidence. The moment you realize you call something coincidence, you should maybe explore a little more, because there is a message, a sign, a warning in there. So
Okay, yeah. I know myself. I've seen dragonflies, and those are totems. We call those totems, I guess. The
mhm,
American Native Indians call them totems. When you see my totem, I guess would be a dragonfly. So every time I see a dragonfly, uh, it says something to me. It actually said when I first saw them, I saw about 50 of them all together, and they don't swarm usually like that. But when I saw 50 of them together, I thought that means something. And my brother saw them along with me, and I drove a truck all the way out to California from Illinois, and it was a rough ride because it was a big truck and it didn't have no shocks or nothing. It was a U-Haul, and
mhm.
I I was saved, I think, a couple of times by that because the truck bounced so bad with the springs, jumping and hitting ruts in New Mexico. I almost went off the road. I had a another trailer I was pulling alongside, so I was actually longer than a tractor trailer. But I felt that something was with me that that day of traveling,
Yeah.
and yeah, so
Animals often intervene in synchronicity. I just want to try suggest you something. Maybe what you could try to do in the morning, you could try to actually contact and ask question to this entity and say, are you my brother? If you are my brother, maybe make the bulb light up or do something. So try to establish a communication and ask a feedback. And yeah, so maybe you can get more information.
okay, so a synchronicity doesn't really have to have a numerous amounts of times that it happens. It can maybe happen once and have something that you feel.
Typically, I would say probably is more than once, because yeah, I mean, you have to notice something and then you notice something else that reconnect you to this previous thing. So I would say at least twice, but I would say for people who are not very spiritual, typically the first signs are with numbers, or maybe also with animals. For instance, the first synchronicity, or one of the first that I remember, is related to an animal, so hummingbird. But
Right. And a lot of people don't, I guess, our Native American Indians were way
yeah,
ahead of us in the spiritual area.
oh,
So,
absolutely. Mhm.
yeah. So, yeah, I think that I've gotten messages from animals myself before. Dr. Lani, how can we get a hold of you? We're down to our last minute.
Yeah, so there is my YouTube channel, Stargate to Heaven, with the two and number two, and then Stargate to Heavens, so with the S at gmail.com if you wanna send me a message.
Okay, I will put that in the text portion of our video. You've been listening to the Dave Emmons Show, and Dr. Lani has been getting into the field of synchronicities and some of his spiritual missions that he's on in France. And Dr. Molay, the Knights Templar, very interesting stuff. Thank you, Dr. Lani, for another good show.
Thanks
Thank,
so much
thank
for
you.
having me
Bye bye.
again.